And what I found was when I look at this top rocker roll, this is what I get when I turn it over by hand. So as it goes, get to it, it goes down that much and then comes back up, right? Now, when I do the bottom one down here, see if you can see it, I think. Okay, here's the bottom one. First of all, look how much plays in that. Let's see if you can see that. That's a lot of play, right? But when it goes around and comes down, comes back up, it doesn't look like it's coming up enough to me. And so I'm wondering if you know what that would be. Obviously, I'm gonna have to pull the engine. There's something not right in there. But it's an 07. I can't tell you how many hours are probably on this little thing, but I think it's a good little four-wheeler. And I know they last a long time, so I was hoping to get it running. Hey, I got it's a little Kawasaki four-wheeler 90. I think it's KFX90 is what it is. So the symptoms were I couldn't get it to start. And it would turn over, wouldn't fire. Didn't seem to be getting any fuel to the engine. So I got a carburetor for it, threw it on it. Still turned over and wasn't getting any fuel. What I noticed was it would never flood. So the spark plug never flooded. So there was no fuel getting to it whatsoever. So I squirted it with some starter fluid and couldn't even get it to pop then. So I said, alright, something's definitely not right. You'd hear a slight pop in it, but it wasn't even kicking it over. So I stuck my thumb over the exhaust pipe on it. It's just a little hole over on this little four-wheeler, and I couldn't feel any compression really building. So at that point I realized, alright, let's check the valves out, see if the spacing was right. I'll put in a little video clip of what I'd found on it, but basically it was shot and we got a bent valve. So we pulled the valves out, and I'm putting it all back together now. Today came in, it took a while, it all had to come from China to get here. To Kimco Engine, that's who makes it. And basically I figure while I got the part, they're good engines, they last forever. The honing inside still look good and everything. So the piston, it's not really scarred, but I figured if I got it this far apart, I was just going to replace everything. So that's what you're going to see today is I'm going to put it all back together. I'll try to get as much video so that you guys can see as possible. I'm only doing this because when I looked online, I didn't find a whole lot of stuff on this engine being redone. I think part of it's just because they are good, reliable engines. Biggest thing I saw was the spacer getting taken out, which I'll do on this one, and I'll shoot some video of it too. You can see where mine's been in, and the belt only goes about halfway up all the time. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do a quick replacement and get it back to running. Thanks, guys. Alright, so I off screen I'd taken the wrist pin out, so we're going to pull the piston out. And there's a mark here and here to line up top dead center, so when you're trying to do it, you'll be able to find it. Just so anybody watching knows. So I got that one off, and we'll put the next one on in a second. It came in the box. All you get is the piston, and then you have to buy the seal kit to put on it, or the ring kit. So I'm gonna put all the rings on it. I got the old ring here, and I'm just gonna put all the rings on, then we'll come back when I'm getting ready to put the next one on. So you may not be able to see this, but right there is a gap, and then the top ring I offset so the other gap was over here. Alright, and that's the bottom ring gap on this one. The top ring gap on that little one's over here. And then my spring piece here in the middle and that should be the first one you put on when you're doing these 3 on the bottom. I have off to the side. Alright, and then I have the next ring up, its gap is here on the back side. I wanted it actually just like that, so it's just a little bit offset from this gap, so it doesn't carry through. Alright, and then this one here, the same thing. I got this one, you know, it's 180 degrees from that one to that one, but it's offset from the gap on the bottom one. Alright, so with that done, now we're ready to put it back on the engine. And put my C-clip in. The piston has a IN on it, and that's going to go on the top. It's the inside for the intake. I like to put them in there and then just turn them sideways inside there. You could, I don't know if you heard it click, but it went in there, so we're all set. I can push that rod back out, like so. And I actually need to grab some assembly lube, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I got a little lube over here off to the outside, and I'm just putting a little bit on the nothing fancy, just it's not engine assembly lube like normal. It's just some engine oil that I'm making sure is on there for putting it together. My clip's on that side. So got the end facing up. I'm gonna insert that part way. Slide that up. And that's in with a little bit of lube on it. And so next we're gonna put another clip on the other side, and this one will take a little bit more time and work to get in. The other one's always easier with the piston out. Anybody who's done this a couple times will tell you that without a doubt that that's the easier way to do it. So I'm going to take, there's my new clip. I'm going to take my old clip, put it in there, so I got a backup clip in case I do this again. I'm going to take this piston because there really wasn't anything wrong with it, and I'm actually going to put it in there with the piston ring and clip and everything. And then I'll have it, and for me, I'll know I got a backup if I need it. So the big thing about putting this clip on, so if you're new to doing motors or something like that, or this is your first time, or you're a young man that's learning, the biggest issue is to make sure that these little clips, they like to go flying if they don't get in there all the way. So if you don't get it in there, it's a top fit. It likes to go flying. When I took the last one out off camera, it went across the shop, so about 20 foot. Luckily my floor is clean. I was able to find it. But I've shot them before and have no clue where they're at. So one of the big things is to put a rag around the back of this so that if it does go flying somewhere, it doesn't go inside the motor, and you don't have to tear apart a motor to get a clip out that went inside. So this is usually what I do. I just take that rag like that, and I'm trying to get my piston to where I'll be able to reach it while I'm working on it. And then I'm going to take this one up here like so. That's it. If it goes in there, I'm going to have to say the good Lord wanted me to pull that engine apart for some reason. So I'll do like that there, and then the easiest way I find to do this is I'm going to try to set one side in as I press the other down and around. I usually use a screwdriver to help me out a little. So basically you got to bend the clip down into place and get it into its seat. I'm trying this on camera to see if I can get it in a decent amount of time that I'll probably end up speeding it up, but if I can't, then that's just all that's to it. I'll go off camera and do it, but I can tell you that sometimes I can get them and they go right in, and other times this is a nightmare of a job to get done. Looks like this one's just about going in now. There it is. So that was actually simple, but do not fret if you're a fellow that has to keep going and working on it. The big thing is to make sure it's in the groove, okay? It can't just be, there's a little bit of a drop in here, but there's an actual groove for it to go in. You want it in that groove. If you're new to this, I know there's some guys watching going, I've done this 100 times. I know where it goes. I don't need someone telling me, yeah, but there's some kid watching that's going to try to fix his four-wheeler on his own and he don't know. If it doesn't get in that groove that's in that piston, it'll come out while it's running and destroy the inside of your motor. So make sure that's where it's supposed to be. Alright. I'm just checking to make sure that timing chain is on where it's supposed to be. There's two gaskets I got here. One is the head gasket and the other is the base gasket. And the big way you can tell the difference is, see that little cut right there? That's on the bottom side. So I'm going to grab my Rocky Mountain ATV scrapers and scrape that off. So those are my Tusk from Rocky Mountain ATV scrapers. I'll be honest with you, I really like them. They work really good. I wasn't going to get them at first, but then once I got them, I was like, good night, it's so much easier. So, oh, didn't mean to hit the camera. Alright, so I didn't realize it, but you couldn't see it while I was scraping, so I'll edit that part out, but I got most of it off now. There's still a little bit more to go. I like to take a little part cleaner, wet that gasket area down. Doesn't have to be nothing crazy. And I'll scrape off the last little bit that way. And there's different size scrapers, so I can go back over there and get another one. That's better for these smaller pieces, but I like using the wider ones so that I'm less likely to dig in one spot. More likely to spread out the area I'm scraping. we're just about done with it. I got just a little bit more, and I don't know. I hate to make these videos too long. Alright, so I got this side cleaned, and I also got this side cleaned, and in there we cleaned out. So now it's going to be time to put it back together. Only other thing you want to check is you want to make sure this area here is clean, which ours is. I'll give it one more wipe down before I put it together. There's some. Alright, so I had to switch videos. So basically what I did is I took and I put those holders, those retainers, they're inside there. And I'm going to set that in here. And I believe as I push it down and go past the locking point, it'll click in. I may have to use a screwdriver to help encourage them a little bit, but I think the big part's just going to be. And I saw the one go around there. There goes the other. Alright, so one's in there and the other one's up. I don't know. Here, I'll let you see. So I'm going to go at it again and get the other one down, but I don't know. Can you see? Yeah. So you can see there how the one's up and the other one's down in there. I need them both down. So I'm going to do it again and see if I can't. Ooh. That looks closer. I almost got it now. You can see it's still not perfect, so I'm gonna go back in and do it again. You see they're not sitting even, so I want to get in there all the way. So ooh, that one was pretty close. There it is. All right, so it's in now. You can see. And that was it. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Flip it around. Set my springs on there. Like so. Those are good. So now I'm going to set it on there. This is it's a valve spring tool. I can thank my grandfather. He's passed away but that old tool was something he used back in the day when he worked on vehicles, and my grandmother gave me his toolbox, so that was in there, and you know, I use it. So I'm sure you buy something similar now. Doubt it's built the same way these were. You know how that was. But all right, so that one didn't work. One of the pieces popped out. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it took several tries, but I finally got it. That's just how some of this stuff is sometimes. You know, it's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but Yep. Looks good. All right, fellas, now we can move on with the rest of the show that we were getting to. We'll get back to putting the head on the engine, putting the rocker on, and everything else. So there it is. And I've got my guides here. I count one more guide than I need, which means, for those of you that know, that means I was supposed to put it on the bottom half and forgot to. So, they have two of them. All right, fold off and I'll put them on the bottom side. On the bottom still, so I'll pull it out and check it. Yep, I got one here on the top and I forgot to put the one on the bottom, so I'll just pull it off and put them on. So, hate to do it, there's no other way, but so pull that off. Set that to the side. Grab this guy here. Put that oil back on there again and start working this down. Grab my timing chain and push the timing chain through like so. Put my screwdriver in there to hold the timing chain in place. There it goes. Nope, while I was looking away, my chain dropped out there. I gotta pass it back through. Oh, got chain through. Let's slide that down in there. There we go. Got that little bit of oil coming out the front there again. So I'll wipe it up like so. Real guide. There's a hole back in there. You gotta make sure you put it inside that hole. You want it to be in there to make sure it lines up like it's supposed to. One end short, one end's long. The long end goes this way to match up. Make sure you get that on there correct. So we're gonna just like so. There we go. We're gonna slide this over that. I want my chain coming up through the top, like so. There we go. Sorry about that. So when this is in there, the big hole will be on the very top and these two even with the sides. And that's how we know we'll be lined up on our timing. our timing over here has to be lined up as well. Those two are lined up, and that'll have the engine at top dead center right now, so it should be all the way up. And you can look in, matter of fact, here, I'll pull it off. So we know because I'd clean the cylinder, but the piston's all the way at the top there. So I can look in there and see it, I know it's there. And we're all set with that. Now I need to put the chain in there. That's going to be slightly off if I leave it there, so that looks like, let me see something. It looks right there. That's lined up top then center, and I'm a little bit off over here. That's just, it is. It looks like I'm about a tooth off, so I'm gonna move everything one tooth and go from there. Let's see, so I'm wanting to go that way. See if that looks better. Yeah, that looks a lot closer to where it should be. Yeah, that looks right. Then when I put the tensioner back on, it'll pull any loose, which right now there doesn't appear to be any slack in it, but yep, that looks good. Yep. So now the next thing I'll do is put that oil up there, make sure. I want a bunch of oil up there to make sure it doesn't dry start or anything. Put some on the chain, help it too, and then you can see on here we got exhaust on there marked as well, so that's going to be the exhaust side, I think. Yeah. So EX will be exhaust side, like I originally thought. So you'll want to make sure our valve guides go where they're supposed to. I actually put it on upside down there first, and you can see it didn't line up over the bearing. So if you're having a problem with that, you know you're wrong. That's everything that's going to hold the motor together. I'm not sure if you guys can see all that. There you go. So that's it. And I'm just going to grab the Loctite and get ready to tighten it up and torque it down. There's actually a gasket here going around. You got to pull that back out of the way to get these bolts to go in and out. And I'll be right back. I got to go grab my sockets. So let me grab them. I'll be back. Alright, so I'm checking the valve clearance now. This one's off, but it's supposed to be 4 thousandths. So I should be able to put the 4 in there, but not the 5. And right now the 5's going in there. So I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. Loosen this up just a little. Come on. There we go. And we'll check again. So the 4 we want to be able to go in there. It's a little tighter that time. The 5 we don't. That feels real good there. I can't get that 5 in there, so make sure I just tighten that real good. There we go. And then up here on this one, I can't even get the 4 in, so I'm gonna back that one up a little bit. Oh, that is tight. I'm gonna grab a pair of pliers to help turn it. That one's good, that 4, let's see. Yeah. So I gotta tighten that down now. I'm gonna double check that again. I'll slide that. This is my 4, slide the 4 in there to double check it. Yep, it's tight, but it goes in there. And the 5 doesn't fit, so. Yeah. And I can feel just barely a wobble in there, just barely. So, that's good. Looks good. And I'll take a little bit more oil and it's just to make sure when it starts up that it's got oil on it. Trying to get some down. All right, man, we're gonna put the top on it and the front on it, and that'll be it. And I'll come back around the other side. The valve cover I think is downstairs. I gotta go grab it. So I taken that off while I was checking it. All right, so we're gonna put this back on here. There are 3 different size bolts. There's the really long one. It goes in the top left corner. It matches up with the fact that, sorry, I forgot to put Loctite on them. That section there is longer than the others. You can look at them. And this is off of the head cover itself. So this section on the head cover is longer. That means this long one goes in there. like so. You got your second longest one. It's gonna go down the bottom on this side. And you can look again, this piece of metal on the head cover is the second longest. And then you got two identical short ones and they go on the opposite side over here. And the pieces of metal on this side are both the same height as the two shortest ends. Grab the 10mm driver out.
Grab that on, just finger snug right there, something down here. It's not over here or something. Just don't to the finger tight, that's all. There we go. There we go.
A little bit there, a little bit there, more down there, a little bit here. I would like to get a park bath for cleaning this stuff at some point. That's the next thing I need for my, or would like to have for my garage, just be able to have one of those parts cleaners in here. That, man, those look good when I see the guys that have them. Yep. That looks good. All right. I need my valve tensioner to put back in there, and I'm not seeing where I set it. I know I have it here. There it is, right there. All right, so you're just gonna remove the screw out of the top, like so. Take a small flathead screwdriver, drive in there, and unscrew it. That's it. And it'll back up, should be short like that. And we're gonna set it down in here. That's all that's to it. There. Put my little Loctite on again. That's just me turning it to left to unlock it, and it's going down to where it needs to. So, and now I'm gonna put my cap back in. And this was the only other part we're gonna show, and you can see a bunch of videos on it, but I don't know if you can see in there or not. I'm gonna pull this off in a sec, but the band's only been coming up 50% in there. There's a wear mark. I'll grab the tools and pop this off real quick and take a look at it. All right, so I took the bolt off there. I'm gonna squeeze this clutch back here a little. That lets that pulley go in there, belt go in there. All right, and then you want to take off. I already took this off with the impact gun after I broke two of the fins off, so remove that. You want to leave that the back plate on there as much as you can. And that's the washer that comes off. And you can see the wear where it's only been going halfway and stopping. It's not been able to go all the way up because of that washer. So with that washer out now, I'm going to put my plate back on there. You want the groove marks to line up again. There you go. That's in there. Put it's got groove marks inside it too, you see. They need to line up in the right spot too. with those all lined up, now we're going to put our bolt back on there. Just so you know, this doesn't change how much power it has, okay? So the engine's still gonna have the same amount of power. It's gonna be able to take off at the same rate as it did before. What this will change is how fast the top speed is. That's what you're changing. So now it'll get a higher top speed than it got before, but it won't have any more power. All right, so I don't want people getting confused over whether they're getting power or not. Next, I'm gonna put the covers on it all, and that'll be that. We'll be set to stick it back inside the frame and let it run. So for those of you that are watching, I hope that helped out. Putting the cover on, 2 screws for it. Spark plug. The old one, new one. On this side cover, all of them were the same except for one. There was one that was shorter. It was in here. That's all I know. All right, it's put together. Now we're gonna take it back downstairs and stick it in the bike. So this is the little workshop we got. We're working on. Mason's taking the front brush guard off of it. We're gonna paint it, and I'm getting ready to put the motor on. This is just a toolbox my grandfather had used, and I found it worked real good for putting the four-wheeler on while I'm working on it. So that's where we're at now. All right, so we got the engine in, got the piece together, basically putting the last little plastic piece over the air filter, and we got the charger cables on it because I know the battery's no good. I got another battery which may or may not work, I'm not sure. I've had it for like a year now, so at one point I thought I was going to have this thing fixed with just a battery. That's good. They're going into just a little bit of metal, buddy. So I think we're all set to give it a try. Mace, you want to put the, is it on 12 volt over there? Right now, 12 volt?
15.
It's on 15? 15 amps?
Yeah.
12 volt?
Yeah.
Oh. So let's go ahead and turn the ignition switch on. Got it. We don't have the chain hooked up or anything, so we have the plastic on. We just want to see if the engine will run, that's all. You ready? You got the throttle? You can do the throttle for me when we're ready? Alright, so that's a solid engine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Give it a little rev. Let's see if we run. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to you?
Yeah.
I think we got it. We're just going to end up probably tomorrow, put the chain on, plastic back on, and go from there. But yeah, it's a good rebuild. Everything went good. They were good. Maybe adjust the idle after we get the chain on and stuff. But then, thanks for watching. We'll shoot a video of how it runs without the without the restrictor on it.